Wherever this finds you, I hope this finds you well. Ben64, the console curator, and today we're going to be taking a look at some treasures from across the pond. No, not England, but Japan. That's right, the Mecca, the haven, the gaming center of our nucleus. And what better place to find complete in-box consoles than Japan? Not to mention, spoiler alert, I may have even gotten something that's not technically allowed out of the country. So stick around, find out why it's the best place to find complete in-box consoles, and find out what that little treasure is that I was able to sneak out of Japan. Without further delay, let's get into it. And you can tell that I'm stoked because I wore my special One Piece shirt all the way from Japan. It's extremely soft. It's got like a printed One Piece rubber thing going on here. And it even's got my boy Trafalgar Law. So you know you're in for some good loot. Longtime viewers of the channel are pretty familiar with the fact that I'm a big Nintendo fan. But what that means is that I don't necessarily have a lot of the competitors. So what better way to start off than with the original, the OG PlayStation. That's right, we got a PlayStation DualShock here. It's not the first generation, I can say that with some confidence because if I remember correctly, I believe the controller had two joysticks. Oh, yep, and it absolutely does. So as you can see, this is going to be a PlayStation 1, but not the first generation, as we can see by these two joysticks. And it's just so much fun opening these. I mean, take a look. You can see, we actually have the styrofoam in here, we've got the manual, we got the cords. I mean, when was the last time that you ended up sliding a PlayStation out of a box? And what good condition it's in, too. And keep in mind, these things are listed as junk, and I, for the life of me, can't figure out why, except for the fact that Japan has crazy standards when it comes to maintaining stuff. But does this look like junk to you? Because I'd say this is in pretty good nick. Brings back so many memories. And, you know, worst comes to worst, I've just got a really big gray CD player because this can definitely play compact discs. But as you can see, it's in good condition. We got the manual. I even have a memory card. So it's always fun to see this stuff, and I think we're off to a great start. All right, moving down the list, we have another little guy sneaking out here, taking a little peek, and that should give you an idea of one of the things that's in this box for sure. That's right, we're going to have a Dreamcast in here. I'm stoked. Probably would have been more successful if you couldn't download all the games for free, more or less, online. But what a cool piece of history, what a cool piece of the gaming ecosystem, if you will, and Sega's last foray into the gaming world. And similarly, I ended up finding... the 90s was an era of the future, right? Kind of like the 80s in that regard. I ended up finding a music recorder MP3. This is well before MP3 players were common, and it's even licensed by Nintendo. Check that out. Licensed by Nintendo, Game Boy Advance. So I'm so excited to see how this works. See, even if the batteries are good, I'm guessing they are not. Those are probably 20-year-old batteries at this point. But this is the type of like little nerdy thing that you can get in Japan that probably never even released in the US. The other thing that I was able to find that I was really, really excited about, and I'm not going to take this out of the packaging right now. I will unwrap it from the bubble wrap, but this is going to stay safe and protected for a little while longer until we do a full video on it, is this. That's right. This is the Generation 2 Famicom. It's the exact same thing as the top loader that was released for the NES in the US, except this one is for the Famicom. But yeah, how could I pass up such a pristine piece of history? I mean, it's still in plastic. I doubt it's the original plastic, but it's plastic nonetheless. And as we continue, this is a really cool piece. This is something that was never actually made outside of Japan, and partly it's because this has a technology that the rest of the world didn't even get. This is the Famicom Twin Sharp Edition. Now, Sharp you probably will recognize from the TV company. They make a lot of TVs and household appliances and things of that nature. In Japan, they had a pretty awesome partnership with Nintendo. And this partnership resulted in some absolute gems. Sharp even made a TV that had an NES built into it, and the SF1, which had the Super NES built into it, and which was really cool because all those images that people saw in the 80s and 90s in their gaming magazines, they came from that TV because it had the best picture quality because there was no relay because it was a direct plug-in. So this is kind of along those lines, but what makes this special is we can play both Famicom, and up front we have a slot for the disc system. And the Famidisc never came to the US, but it was very much alive and well in Japan. So this will play both in one console without the need for the Family Disc add-on. And I also really, really love the controllers. They actually have a big 1 and 2 on them. And we'll take a closer look when I do a video highlighting and spotlighting this and this piece of history. I can also say that it came in red, I think black, and maybe like a blue or teal dealio. But what a cool little piece of history right there. And I believe that's the last thing that's not complete in box. So the rest of this journey down nostalgia lane is going to be all complete in-box systems. And I think what better way than to start out with a Gen 1 Mega Drive. By the way, it still has the price tag on there. So that's about as legit as it can get, in my opinion. One of the ways you can tell it's Gen 1 is if you look here, you can see that we have the purple and we have the writing in purple, and that was only done in Japan. And one of the things that I find really funny is that a lot of times we assume that later generation consoles in a life cycle are going to have better quality, but usually it's the opposite. Usually there's something that they've decided was too expensive to produce, and so they've removed features from the system. This is no different, and I'll put the specifics up on the screen, but needless to say, this is one of those things where as it went on, they ended up taking some of the technologies out of it for the future generations. And that's one of the reasons I was so adamant about getting a Gen 1 Mega Drive, or in the US as we like to know it, the Genesis. And opening these things, it's just so fun. It's like the holidays, you know? Ooh, that was in there good. Okay. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Manual. And are you ready, folks? Right? I still have, I believe, all the original plastics for all the components on this. When was the last time you saw something like that on eBay for an affordable price? Go ahead, I'll wait. That's what I thought. That's the type of sweet thing that you can get from Japan, and the treasure that you can get that you're not going to get here. And look, there's the phones volume that's ended up being removed in later generations, so how cool is that? So that gives you the idea of why hunting in Japan is so different than hunting in the US. You just find things in the coolest condition. A Mega Drive, a very complete inbox, all the way from Japan. All right, this is one of those things that I teased a little bit earlier. The swan song of one Sega. If you had told me in the 90s that Sonic was going to be in Smash Bros., I would have told you, no way, it's not possible. And here we are, and Sega is making most of their games for Nintendo. But how cool is that? That's right, complete inbox Dreamcast from Japan, complete with some graffiti or some defacing. How cool. And so that controller earlier, this controller, I believe, is from inside here. And look how complete this is. All still sealed. This looks, it's so crisp. It's so crisp. I mean, just look. How beautiful is that? That's exactly what you want to greet you, right? It just takes you back. And this is a highly modifiable console. Things are still being done for the Dreamcast all the time. Ooh. It opens smooth. Look at that. Oh, magic. Hello. And one of the downfalls of the Sega, I believe, happened to be the fact that you could burn games. So it was truly a product of the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. This came out contemporaneously to CDs and the CD burner, if you will. And so Sega decided to go with that technology. But the downfall was that people could just burn games and give them away and end up cutting into their market shares dramatically. So maybe it wasn't the best move, but it does create a memorable system. And this is a system that a lot of the homebrew community still uses and does stuff for, just because it was kind of a slept-on system. So I'm super stoked to have one of these in the collection and to play with this. It's just such a cool piece of history. Let's see, we had a Sega Mega Drive. We had a Sega Dreamcast. What are we missing from that sandwich? I know. How about a Sega Saturn? How awesome is that? And it really does add another level when you get to look at these things in box, you know? It brings you back to that morning when you'd go downstairs, open presents or whatnot, and get to do the whole unwrapping, right? Unwrapping is special. Unboxing, it's exquisite. It's just such a joy. And it's funny that all of these boxes open differently. What were they thinking? Yep. There you go. There's a Sega Saturn for you. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, bonus! I got a game with it! Digital card library. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Yes, not even a bad game to get. Oh, this is sweet. All right. Well, what a bonus. What a bonus. Heck yeah. Oh, that's so sick. And then, of course, probably wouldn't be a Ben 64 console curator video if we didn't have something from the big end, right? So this is that special something I was telling you about. That special something that I don't believe you're allowed to get out of Japan, to be honest with you. Every time I've tried in the past, I've been hit by these crazy import laws and stuff like that. And that's because this is the one, the only... That's right. This is the Nintendo light gun. That is the Cowboy Pistol light gun. I believe it was made for like Wild West gunmen or whatever. But this is such a cool piece. And because it has a gun in it, it's not allowed for export from Japan. So I got lucky. This one didn't have a gun anywhere in the title or anything like that. And I think that's why I was able to sneak it through. I was worried they were going to check it at the warehouse and be like, no, no, no. But here it is. Yes, yes, yes. And I am stoked about it. And I thought I was just, I've been trying to collect light guns. I think they're one of the coolest pieces of technology. They feel like the future, even though they're from the past, which is a big theme of this channel. But I truly never expected to get this, let alone in this type of condition, right? We have the pistol. We actually have Duck Hunt for Famicom. And we have the gun belt for it, folks. Can you believe it? I can't. I didn't think that this was going to be something I would ever find. Oh, and it feels so nice. Is this... It can't be leather, but it feels like good quality, like leather anyway. It feels really, really good, actually. And that's a metal buckle on there. What a cool piece of technology. And also, it's got a great heft to it. This is my first time holding this gun, this light gun in real life, and it feels excellent. Gotta love the hammer action. And even cocks. You can cock it. How cool is that? Oh man, what a cool piece of technology. Obviously, this runs into a lot of toy law issues with the US. Doesn't have the orange tip or anything like that. And that's one of the reasons that I think Japan just said, you know what, we're not going to bother. We don't want to play that game. And decided to kind of shut it down for export. But haha, I am victorious. I snuck one out. And I could not be more thrilled. And actually, I just noticed this, and I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't take the time. And you might not be able to see it, but we'll see if we can give it a go around. Nintendo. As you can see, definitely not their traditional font. I guess they made it just for this. What a cool piece. What a cool piece. And the fact that it came with like a leather belt, that feels good. This isn't a toy made nowadays. This actually feels like good quality. It's absolutely awesome. And one thing I have to say is that every time I get a box of treasures from Japan, from Sendico specifically, they do such an excellent job wrapping it that if I don't immediately put it out and into my collection, I decide to keep it in, to keep the stuff stored in the box for a second, I have a nightmare just figuring out how to get it back in there the way they did. And that's not because they pack it in. It's because there's some type of like spatial awareness, origami skills that happen, and well, it's well beyond my skills. Let's just say that. So, Pun, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is there anything from today's haul you wish you could rustle up for yourself? And can we agree that Japan is the mecca of complete in-box system collecting? This is the type of content you enjoy. Make sure you like and hit that subscribe button. And as always, this is Ben64, the console curator, saying the past is present, and the future is what you make it.